Hello, Chris Pearson here with Wedding Industry Business Tips. Please excuse the fact that it's not my beautiful face today, but it is in fact a whiteboard. That's because I am refilming a video that I did way back in June, where when I did it, I did it with the front-facing camera, and all the numbers were reversed. So I'm redoing it now that we've got more members. I think this is a really, really important lesson in business and how you're going to be spending your money on your business. So this is all about how you should be spending money on your business. So Jack is with us now. Jack is going to be hopefully fielding questions if anyone does happen to join us live. So there we go. Hello, Jack. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yes, sorry for being later than advertised, but there we go. So your job is to provide running commentary if I'm writing down boring stuff and making succinct points about stuff. And Alan Crandall has joined us this morning as well, so that's great. Got Alan with us already. So I'm going to crack straight into it. So this is all about how you are going to be spending money on your business and how much you should be charging. It's mainly about what you should be charging for your business. So my writing is not great, so bear with me on this. Average UK salary is £27,000. So if you, that two's terrible. I've got a maths degree and everything. So if you want to earn, that's the salary before tax. So after tax, that ends up being £21,740. Hopefully you are with me so far. So that is what you are aiming for if you are going for an average salary within your wedding business. And most people probably want to get more than that, which is completely acceptable. But we're going to be going through things as if you are trying to earn more than that, and why people are generally simply not charging enough. Now, myself and Jack, as magicians, have this kind of discussion a lot with people, and people saying, "Why do I charge X amount for a wedding?" Like, that is just not sustainable in terms of a business. So that is £27,000 profit. Okay, I'm going to put PR there for profit. Most of this is going to be rubbed out and then put back. I've only got a small whiteboard here today rather than the huge one I did it with last time. So that's your profit. So that is excluding any expenses whatsoever. So just to make the maths easy, let's say that your expenses are £13,000. Do you think that's reasonable, Jack? Lost you for a minute there.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I'm back. Yeah, I think 13,000 is acceptable. Yeah.
13,000. So I've mainly chosen that number to make the maths easy. So that means that your turnover is obviously going to be this and this combined, giving us £40,000. So that is how much turnover you need to make in order to get an average salary. With me so far, everyone happy with that? Hopefully it's not too difficult. So I'm just going to put this in terms of what I know quite a lot about. Myself and Jack will often see magicians saying they'll come out and do your wedding for 250 quid or something like that. Is that fair, Jack?
Yep.
And there are other businesses as well that say, yeah, our service is £250. I'm using £250 because it's convenient, but this is just to kind of explain a point mainly. So if you are doing £250 that's a zero, Chris. 1 second. This is fascinating.
Alan says that's the kind of thing that goes across the industry. Who's got the same problem happening with DJs as well, is that people will go out for £250.
So and this is the problem. This is something that we've covered a lot before. That there are people who do this as a part-time job. In which case, maybe that charging that's fine. If it's what you want to do full time, it's not fine at all. So £250 a wedding. So that is if you want to make 40 grand, then 40k divided by 250 equals 160 weddings. I'm just going to put a W.
Yeah.
So let's assume that through November and January and February, you are doing 0 weddings. So we'll call that 3 months. So we'll call that 12 weeks. That leaves 40 weeks left in the year. So that means you are going to be then doing 4 weddings a week. 4 weddings a week. Hopefully my shorthand makes sense there.
Yeah.
And so that's 160 weddings, working 40 weeks a year, doing 4 weddings to earn an average salary. Now, for me, that sounds like way too much hard work for just bringing home an average salary. That would mean, what do you think about that, Jack?
Yeah, I think it sounds like way too much hard work for me to just come out with 27 grand at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, it's not even
Yeah.
27 before tax, so it's 21 7,
Well,
so
yeah.
not even 22. So
Yeah.
I'm scraping off this bit here, and I might actually have to grab a wet wipe as opposed to what I've got here. Jack, keep them talking.
Okay. So I'm here kind of basically just to field any questions that come through or any points that people make in the comments, because Chris can't see the comments while he's writing this. So essentially, I've become his eyes. So if you do have any questions or any queries, or you want to ask anything, do anything, then just pop it in the questions and I will make sure that Chris gets it. If I have any questions as well, I'll be writing them down. It's something that, as Chris said, we talk about a lot with people when we do our 2-on-1 mentoring, all those kind of things. So, just ask us any questions and we'll be happy to answer them for you. You're back.
I am back, yes. So, moving on from this, so I don't know about you, Jack, but for me personally, I work most weeks of the year, with the exception of maybe a couple here and there, take holiday and something like that. But I would say that on average, I can probably do something like 52 weeks in the year, take a couple of weeks off for holiday, and then say 2 weddings a week. That sounds like the sort of how hard most people want to be working, maybe something like that.
Okay.
So 50 weeks a year. I realise that's not the actual amount, but that's what we're talking about here.
So if you're taking 2 weeks on holiday, then that works.
Yeah.
2 weeks on holiday makes 50.
It just makes the maths easy. 2 weddings, so that means 100 weddings a year, which seems like a lot more sensible. So let's say then that would, if you want to make that to make that into 40 grand, maths is obviously very easy because that's why I've designed it this way. You're looking at £400 a wedding, which I think seems like a much more sensible amount to be charging, and that's way less than both myself and Jack charge. I want to make that clear, but we're talking about making things sensible for you, but I'll be talking further about putting up the price much more than that in a minute. So that seems like a much more sensible way to get to your 40 grand a year, I think. But what about expenses? Now, we were saying that expenses were 13 grand, didn't we? So 13 grand expenses. So if you're doing 100 weddings and it's 13 grand expenses, you are looking at spending £130 per wedding on expenses.
Yeah.
Which means you're turning that into 400, which means you are making £270 profit per wedding. Yeah?
Yeah.
Which, as there's 100 of them, that ends up with your 27 grand. I think that's fairly sensible, and fairly easy to understand. I mean, I'm perhaps wondering whether that 13 grand is a little bit too high, but it makes the maths easy, and it makes money.
I think it depends on the business, doesn't it? I mean, for us, it can be, depending on what you do, it can be a little bit high. But for someone who's a florist, for example, that's a lower number. So I think it's just the number that makes the maths easier. Obviously, if you take your usual expenses and do the same math as we're doing here, you can work out what you need to be doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say that somehow you managed to cut 2 grand from your expenses. So you found something you were spending money on, which was completely unnecessary. So that would then take your 13 grand, make it 11, which means that 130 on a wedding is out now 110. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that you are turning that into 400, which means you are earning £290 a wedding, which means your profit is now 29 grand. Okay, so cool. Makes sense. You spend 2 grand less, you get 2 grand more out of it. I mean, obviously the maths on that is very, very simple, but I want to kind of explain it in a per wedding type of way. But why would you try and, because cutting 2 grand, and which is about, what you're looking at, kind of 15% if you of what you're spending there. If you cutting 15% off your expenses is a really hard thing to do. You'd be actually much better off investing more money into your business. If you invest more money into your business and then charge more, you are in a much, much better situation in terms of what you're doing. So let's look at how this works. Let's say I'm doing an example of Facebook advertising here because it's really simple for me to kind of do this. So minimum spend on proper Facebook advertising is £5 per day. So you're looking at £5, and let's say you're going to advertise every single day. That's 365, which is £1,865. That's not a very helpful number, so we're going to call that 2 grand. Okay. So you're looking at £2,000 extra on what you're going to be spending on your advertising, but at the same time, rather than charging this £400 for a wedding, you're going to charge. I feel like Grant Cardone at the moment. Just saying, he does all those writing down stuff, doesn't he? So rather than £400, you are going to charge £500. So how does that work in terms of your profits? So let's look at this. Your expenses have now gone from this £13,000 up to 15. So you are now divide that by 100 because that's the amount of weddings you're doing. That is now costing you £150 a wedding. So your cost per wedding has gone up. Okay, but you're now turning that 150 into £500. Yeah, which means you're making a £350 profit per wedding, and you're doing that 100 weddings a year. So that is now £35,000. So by spending £2,000 on adverts or investing £2,000 in more somewhere along the way, you'll end up putting up your price, your cost per wedding up to 150 rather than 130. But because you're charging £100 more, you're making £350 per wedding rather than either the 290 or 270. So you're actually making 8 grand more from a 2 grand investment. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, but so a question that I think some people might be asking is why are you putting up the price? So and will that affect the conversion rate at the price of £100 difference?
Well, this is the sort of question I was hoping you were going to ask. So I'm actually well prepared for that. I'm just wiping off the whiteboard as you might have noticed, I'm running out of space.
Yeah.
So, well, you're putting up the price because you're the one that controls the price. We're not regulated in any way, and if you're struggling to get by, you're struggling to make an average salary, and you'd rather be getting more money, then the easiest way to get more money is simply to ask for more money. I mean, why, and in terms of you don't have to justify that to anyone, not even yourself, although it helps to justify it to yourself. But it's just in terms of saying, you know what, I want to make a better living, I'm going to charge more money. If you can think of things to throw in, chuck in some more value, which doesn't cost you very much more money, then by all means. But there's nothing to stop you overnight saying I charge £100 more now, because for instance, if you've kept your price the same for the last 4 years, then you've actually put your price down because interest actually makes prices go up, right? So probably not by that much, but no one's stopping you from charging whatever you want. So yes, moving on. If you said about conversion rate, that's absolutely fine. I can understand that some people will turn around and say, yeah, but you know what? If I put it up by £100, then I only get less bookings. Yes, every chance that you might do that. So let's look at this. So we were looking at earning £27,000. Your profit, having spent £2,000 more and putting your price up, your profit per wedding was 350. Yes.
Yeah.
So 27,000 divided by 350 give us a nice round 80. But what is that 80? That 80 is how many weddings you have to do in a year to earn the same amount of money. So you've got the choice here. You can either stick it exactly the same with what you're doing, or by spending £2,000 more on advertising or on your business or on something and putting your price up by that 25%, you can actually end up doing 20 less weddings a year and still earn the same amount of money. I mean
So by putting your price up by 25%, you can drop your conversion rate by 20% and still get the same result.
Correct. Which seems like the right way around to do it. I mean, obviously there is a limit to how much you can put your price up by, but to be honest, for me personally, I don't think that the conversion rate would drop that much between a 400 and 500 pound price, because I don't think that price point is that different. I know it's £100 or 25%, but I think the people who are willing to pay £400 are also going to be willing to pay £500. Whereas the people, if you're putting up from 400 to 700, I think that if you're targeting the same people, I think there's going to be a much larger drop off for that in terms of conversion rate. But you then, because you're earning that much more, you still might get away with it. So that is essentially what I really wanted to cover today. And in terms of what you invest, this is all kind of speaking in hypotheticals with kind of made up numbers, but all of this makes sense in terms of what, in terms of just cold hard maths of running a business. So in terms of what you could potentially spend that £2,000 on, you could obviously, my example was Facebook ads. Obviously, I've got the course Wedding Industry Facebook Advertising. Targeting is key for higher paying clients, says Alan. I can actually see the comments, but it's actually more helpful. Okay. Especially in the flow of things. So I've got the course Wedding Industry Facebook Advertising. That combined with spending £5 a day would give you a £2,000 cost across the year. And that teaches you about targeting. That teaches you about every single facet of running a campaign and getting awareness and everything else like that. You could spend it on coaching calls with myself and Jack. You could spend it on absolutely anything you want. But the point is that the easiest way to make more money is just to ask for more money. Can you feel that as comments has come up there, Jack? What was it saying?
Yeah, you carry on.
So I can't see that properly.
Okay, it's okay. You carry on with your thing about what you can spend the money on.
Okay, so yes, obviously you can spend on whatever you want to spend on. So the Facebook course is there. Obviously, there's coaching calls with myself and Jack, which are £100 each. So you could get 20 of those for your £2,000. And we could obviously teach you how to increase closing rates, increase the amount of inquiries coming in, teach you how to market, teach you how to advertise, all that sort of stuff. Or you could join us for 6 months of intensive coaching, which would be weekly, which would come in at just over £2,000. But there you go.
So he's talking. This Matthew is talking about if your price is too high, then it will be out of some brides' budgets. Thus, they will be going for the cheapest based purely on price, because they don't feel the quality because they've never experienced it. It differs from client to client, of course. So our kind of rebuttal to that, I suppose, is you are right. You will lose some of your clients, and that's what's going to happen because you're going to put your prices up. It's a case of finding a balance point where you're happy and you're comfortable, I think, where you're happy charging the price that you're charging, but you're still getting the clients that you want, really. There's absolutely no reason why you can't charge more, because you will lose some clients, but you'll also gain some new clients. And depending on, oh God, that was terrifying, Chris.
Sorry, I thought that seeing a very simple sum on the board didn't really make much sense. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
No. So yeah, you will lose some clients, but you will also gain some new clients. And with regards to they don't understand the quality because they've never experienced it, then I think that's more of a sales problem from your point of view.
Yeah.
You need to be looking at how you're selling, because if they don't get a grasp of to why you are more money, then you're not selling it correctly and you're not selling it in the best way possible.
Yeah, I mean, the same applies to absolutely everything. No one can know what something's like until they have experienced it. But it comes from good marketing, good copywriting, to get your potential customers to understand what the experience would be like of having you as part of their wedding, because that's all you can do. If you just rock up and tell them what you do, then you are just the same as every single other person doing your service out there. So, well, what do you do? I do card tricks. Cool. Would you like to pay me £700 to come do card tricks for a couple of hours? No. No one has earned £700 doing 2 hours of card tricks selling it that way. I would pretty much guarantee.
Yep.
Because that is not what a kind of high-end magician is selling to people or shouldn't be selling to people. So like similarly, Matthew, if you're still watching, what's your business? I can't see what your can't see what
No,
your
it doesn't say, but hopefully he'll still be here to
if you're still
comment.
there, Matthew, let me know what your business is. But yeah, it's a we've been over this. I just want to point out, I was looking because I went back over the old video I did of this where the numbers were all backwards and it was kind of annoying, and I was a little bit
Yeah.
old. This is the 86th live video I've done on this group.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I was
People are still watching.
people are still watching. Matthew says I'm a wedding DJ. So yeah, this is I mean in terms of what a wedding DJ does. And the thing is that with most wedding DJs, you're there for the entirety of the day. So there is huge scope for adding an incredible amount of value on top of what you already do. So the people who just say, yeah, I do the disco in the evening, cool. Those are the ones who quite happily want to, they should be going out for like 250 quid or whatever. But, from what I understand from weddings I've been at, most wedding DJs need to often be setting up in the same room that the wedding breakfast is in, which then gets turned around into the evening room often. So the equipment has to all be set up by midday or something like that. So you're there having set up, and then you've then got the option to be doing everything throughout the entire day. So it's much more about selling the experience of what you can do to enhance the day, not only with music, which I think is kind of the fallback point, but to be the MC, to be the host, to be the helpful person, to be the usher, to be, whatever that might be. That is what you should be selling. You should be selling a full entertainment experience package. You should be looking at creating relationships with people like magicians, people like caricaturists. So when people come to you and say, I'm looking for a disco, you can say, okay, cool, I can do that, but I can also do your hosting. I can also recommend, I've also got this package where this band come in as well, and this magician comes in for this part of the day. They come to you for something, and you can provide them the world. That is what people will spend, 10 times as much money on.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I think there's no better sort of analogy for what you should be selling than with magic tricks. Because you're not a magician, but I'm sure you will be able to understand this. When we buy magic tricks, we're buying the effect it creates on the spectators, what the spectators see. But if in the trailers or in the copy that was written about these magic tricks, if they said you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this, no one's going to buy it. You're buying the experience that you're creating for those people. So see how you can do that within your industry, within your DJ business. What else you can be adding to the day? Because I'm imagining you can only do one in a day, because it's just the way that you work. So you've got to maximize what you can do for that couple and what you can provide that couple during that day, because you're going to be there all day anyway, or you might as well be there all day, so you might as well make the most of it.
Yeah, and I think it's also a case of proving your worth by providing as much upfront as you possibly can in terms of content and insight and industry knowledge, and just generally being the person that someone booked me for their wedding for March next year a couple of months ago. And I got a phone call from them about a week later saying, who do you recommend for photography? They booked me before they booked their photographer, and then they're coming to me because I've shown to them that I am well connected and I'm respected and I know people within the industry. So they're coming to me. So that it's providing that level of expertise and authority to your potential clients. This is the thing, and I think that this group makes it really, really pertinent, is the idea of giving with literally no expectation of getting anything back whatsoever. So this page is free, this group is free, this page will always be free, and this group will always be free. And there'll never be any point where I say, actually, if you want to stay in it, you've actually got to buy the course, or you've got to have a call or whatever. It's always going to be free, because I have no expectation, or some people will never actually want to give me any money, and that's absolutely fine. They can keep getting the free content, and I don't expect anything back from them ever. But there are people who will kind of reach a point where they go, you know what? I really think that Chris and Jack know what they're talking about. They seem to be kind of giving out this really great information. I want to take things to the next level. At which point, I'm going to pay them some money because I want some personalized help rather than the kind of not exactly generic but relatively generic information you're putting out. But the same should apply within your business. If you keep putting out great content with zero expectation of getting anything back whatsoever, then that's the right way to do things. I mean, this is very much a Gary V approach, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, I was thinking I thought it was Frank Kern talks about it. Frank Kern says that you should always give your best stuff away for free, because if you don't give it away for free, then no one's going to want to buy your stuff because you're not giving away your best stuff. So always give away anything and everything you can. There's no need to hold anything back because you're not going to gain anything by doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's even more pertinent with regards to the wedding industry, because you're only going to get money at the point when someone books you. So if you can give literally everything you know about the wedding industry, everything you've learned from all your years of experience, if you can give all of that away to someone completely free, then it might cost you your time initially to put it out there, but it's not putting that information out there is never going to stop someone from booking you. It's only going to enhance the opportunities for people to book you and turn around and say, yeah, this person knows what they're talking about. I want to have them at the day. So is that another comment that's come out of you?
Yeah. So he's just talking. I always recommend good suppliers within the industry that I've worked with. Like you, Day, I don't expect anything back, but I'm always there to help other businesses create friendships and respect. So yeah, you need to be doing that for your couples as well, because they're the ones that ultimately will be booking you. They're the ones that are going to be giving you money. So you like being friends with your suppliers is obviously a great thing, and you need to do that to have those relationships in order to get recommendations, all those kind of things. But ultimately, you need to be providing that same level of service and friendship and respect and all those kind of things within the people that are actually booking you, the brides and grooms that are coming to you to inquire. And that's why Chris and I run our podcast for wedding planning, because we know that people are listening to that, and it's just building that knowledge and that expertise that we know what we're doing. So we're builders experts within our industry. So yeah, you need to be doing the same thing that you're doing for the suppliers for your clients as well.
Yeah, I think one of the big mistakes I see people making is people say, oh, I'm going to start blogging. And then every single blog I see them put out is a very thinly veiled thing that says, book me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it quite a few times recently where photo booths saying, oh, why you should book a photo booth for your event, or why you should hire a magician for your event, or stuff like that, which is just, if for the people who are already thinking about booking a magician or booking a photo booth and are kind of maybe sat on the fence, that is perhaps the perfect blog for them, because they are. But the thing is, you've got someone who is so utterly biased that the validity of that opinion is somewhat questionable, because it's essentially someone saying, hey, book me. What I found, and I get an awful lot of success and an awful lot of people reading my blogs and going on the blog and actually reading it. The best thing to put out in a blog is everything you've learned from every single wedding you've ever done. So whether that is great advice on table plan, whether that is how to not be a bridezilla, whether that is how to keep the guests entertained during the quiet parts of the day, whether that's help with food choices, or but it should all be in the basket of, I am an expert, I've done this 100 times, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That should always be the angle on blogs, in my opinion, not, hey, book me, because that's what your sales page is for. I mean, by all means, link to your sales page from your blog and have mention about what you do as part of the blog, but that should be secondary to you providing great content, because people aren't bloody stupid. If a blog comes up saying hire a magician, people will look at that and go, that's a magician writing about why you should book him.
Booking a magician.
I'm reading a sales pitch. That is how it's always going to come across. Denise Halfpenny says, exactly. I'm assuming you're agreeing with me.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, you need to be provide value needs to come first at every opportunity, and that's the same for I mean, maybe that blog post about why you should book a magician might work as a retargeting or a follow-up email or something like that. Someone who's already shown interest in what you do,
Yeah,
but you need to be providing the value first. You need to show them why you are who you are and why you're an expert in your field.
yeah. I mean, I've not done this. It's just occurred to me whilst I'm sat here thinking and stuff. If you know, for instance, as a DJ Matthew, if you know some magicians, then why not write a blog? 5 reasons why you should hire a magician. But as a DJ, that's going to hold a lot more weight. But it might be potentially counterintuitive because arguably, the entertainment budget might be split between, but things like 6 reasons why you should spend good money on a photographer from a DJ is going to hold a lot more weight than the same thing written by a photographer. Does that make sense? And also, it gives you a chance to then showcase your connection by saying, by the way, if you're looking for a photographer, these are my top 3 recommendations if in this area.
Yeah, so Alan's done this exact thing. He's talked about cake placement and traditions and things in one of his blog posts, and people loved it. And I've had similar things. One of my better performing blog posts was one where I was recommending my I think it was 10 favorite venues in the area. It was one of my best performing blogs because it came with no sales pitch. Because I know that people who are looking to book a venue are not looking to book a magician yet. That's the last thing on their minds. So I went in there purely to sell, or to sell the other venues, to talk about the venues and why they are beneficial. And that's just helping to build me as the expert in that field of weddings, so that you can then retarget them later down the line with some magic or with some other blog post, something like that. But you're going with value first and how you can provide value to them.
Yeah, I think that we've talked people to death on that. Has anyone got any questions about it or any comments at all?
Yeah. Alan's popping his blog post there so you can see an example of this exact thing taking place. So if you do fancy having a look at that, then click on Alan's link.
Yeah. Here's actually a really good tip for you. Some people do say to me, I want to blog, but I'm not very good at writing. So I think one of the easiest blogs you can possibly write is a crowdsourced blog. So I've done a few of these before. So if you're not particularly good at writing, then contact your 10 favorite photographers, your 10 favorite suppliers or whatever, and just say, hey, what's your best wedding tip? And then you can have a literally copy and paste what they've done, put it through Grammarly or whatever to kind of neaten it up if you need to, and just say, great wedding tips from my 10 favorite suppliers. So that what it's going to do is it's going to provide great content for people. It's going to provide backlinks to the people's who've recommended sites. It's also going to help you with your SEO. I think that's still the case, isn't it? If you've got relevant backlinks going out.
Yeah, not as much, but yeah.
And also the chances are that if you've shared something with that 10 people have written something about, chances are those 10 people will then share it because they'll say, I was on this blog. So it also increases your kind of organic reach as well by them sharing it. So if you've done it in the right blog, get 10 other people to write for you for free.
Equally, if you're not a confident writer, the best thing you can do is just start. You just start writing. That's the only way you're going to improve, is to start doing it. And have things like Grammarly in place to help check your spelling and your grammar and make sure everything's reading correctly. But just start, and that's the best advice I can give. Alternatively, if you're really anti-writing, find another way to provide free content, whether that's through live videos on Facebook, whether it's through a weekly vlog, or anything that sort of will help you provide free value and content to brides and grooms is going to help you with your image as an expert in your industry.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing to yeah, in terms of how you're getting out there, I mean, Facebook still prefers live videos over pre-recorded videos,
Yeah,
and production value isn't actually as important as you think, especially with video. If you are a I mean, I wouldn't recommend that Jack does this because it doesn't quite fit in with his brand. Because Jack's a luxury magician, so for him, things have to be kind of clear cut and on point like that. But for me, I've quite often, I did a thing where I was doing a wedding tip every single day for a month. So literally, whenever I was at a certain time of day, wouldn't care too much about what I was wearing. I just get my phone, put it front facing, and record a 1 minute wedding tip, and that was it, and it would be done. And it's less important than you realize about, obviously you don't want to be doing it with a pile of dirty clothes in the background and the loo unflushed and whatever else. You've got to be slightly cognizant of what's going on and what's around you, but it is so easy just to create content because you've got the most powerful content creation tool in your hands right now
yeah.
within
So
me.
easy. And the advantage of doing something like that is it adds a human value to your business.
Correct.
It shows people that, especially if you're not clean cut. I mean, for me, as you said, it kind of have to have a level of professionalism there. But for the majority of people and the majority of wedding industry businesses, you can just pick up a camera and go, or pick up a phone and go live because it's so easy and it adds that human element to the business and helps people trust you more and like you more. So yeah, there's absolutely no harm in picking up the phone and going live on Facebook.
Yeah, and I think that we have how many episodes of the podcast we've done now? Over 30?
32, I think, 30, 31, 32, something like that.
More or less out of every single episode, it comes out that the most important thing that suppliers think is that you should have a connection with the person that you're buying from. So, and I don't think there's any better way of having that connection than by showing your human side, by by being kind of rough and ready and not having kind of stupidly high production value. I mean, unless you're selling like a really high ticket thing, then when you say and when you stutter and whatever else, that all is endearing and it's if everything comes. I mean, all of these videos, with the exception of this one, which was slightly pre-planned on my part, because I did the maths on it and I wanted to make sure that it was easy to understand. In which case, I've got my notes here. With the exception of this video, which is ironically the one which I'm saying it in, none of these things are planned. Basically, 5 minutes before I go on and say, Jack, do you want to do a live? I've had an idea of doing one about this. And Jack will go, yeah. And then it's utterly ad-libbed. So if you're thinking in any way these look kind of pre-planned or polished, that's through blind luck. Because it's more or less.
That's just because we talk to each other pretty much every day. So we just know how each other work. But it's not like we're sat here hours beforehand going, right, you're going to say this and I'm going to say that, then you're going to say this, because that's not what we're trying to put across here. I think the reason that people book your course, book the 2-on-1 calls and all those kind of things is because we're us. What you see here is what you're going to get on the call with us. You're going to just get us here talking about your business specifically and how you can improve your business. So I think that's why it works and why people come back to us and keep booking these things.
Yes, so I think we've rambled on enough about that. I mean, obviously
We're a bit off topic at this point, but I think it all ties in nicely with if you're trying to build your price, if you're trying to grow your business and make yourself an expert, then you've got to find a way to provide free content to people because it's the only way they're going to know that you're an expert.
Yeah, it does all tie in because if you are looking to put up your price, and especially if you're looking to put it up significantly, then you're going to have to show yourself to be worthy of that fee, or you're going to have to, or if you haven't provided anything up front, you're going to have to blow their socks off so much, or be the very first person they see, such that they don't want to then look at anyone else at all. So that's the other way around it. So it does all tie in with kind of the increasing of price. But yeah, we started off by just saying about how most people are not charging enough for weddings and put it into the cold hard maths of it because who wants to be doing 160 weddings a year just to earn an average salary? I certainly.
No, I've got to go.
Yeah. I also have to go. So yes, my course wedding. I can finish off if you want to leave, Jack.
All right. Bye.
Catch you later. Yeah, just to sum up, if you are looking to grow your business through Facebook ads, then my course, Wedding Industry Facebook Advertising, is available. There's a link above. It's 140